It's Kimi, and this is Casual Crypto and Coffee. I got my coffee, I got my crypto ready to go. Got some preliminary things as usual. This is kind of the introduction. If you don't like the introduction, you can fast forward to the charts. We're going to cover Bitcoin today. We're going to cover, we're going to kind of detour and do the Bitcoin dominance chart. I'm going to cover a separate video about my dominance theory. But I'll cover a little bit of intro to that here, maybe for a minute or two. Then we'll get into some alts, mainly Solana and Dogecoin. I'm, looking at versus Ethereum and other ones, and then we'll look at a few different alts as well, because this is more of a casual setting. This is kind of a free form. This is my longest form content video for the week. So let me know what you think about that, and if you like what you are hearing, then you can continue listening to the rest of the video. All right, for preliminary things, I only got two things. First of all, it's an issue about Casual Crypto and Coffee video itself. I've been looking at things, looking at statistics, analytics, feedback from you guys, and I appreciate every follower that I have, every subscriber that I have. I've got over 9,000 on Twitter. I got 150 in my Discord, which is called Knowhere HQ. I got almost 1,000 in Telegram. And I'm all over the place. I even have an alt account that some of you guys know about. I've actually got multiple ones, but I've got a business account as well. It's really great. I'm very thankful for all the support that I've had. Now, that being said, I've looked at all the analytics, and the Casual Crypto and Coffee videos tend to be the lowest engaging videos out of all of them. So my question is, and I want to ask you, and maybe you can comment, or maybe you can tell me if you're on Twitter or Discord, like how do you like these videos? And so I asked that because they're probably getting about half the viewership as my weekly open videos, and pretty much all my other videos. Observations video is getting the most engagement, which I like. I like observations videos. I have some education videos that kind of get in the middle. They tend to get less viewership initially, but then they get more viewership over time. But these videos tend to get the lowest engagement. I don't know if it's because it's the middle of the week, or maybe because people don't like this one over other ones, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay doing whatever. I've looked at some changes. Almost everyone is in favor of doing shorter videos, and so I'm willing to work with that. And that actually helps me out much better, because I can do 3 to 5 minute videos pretty much any time, whereas a longer video, my initial videos used to be like an hour long, even an hour and 20 minutes long, so I've trimmed down my observations videos to 12 minutes max, and those are scripted videos typically. Casual and Crypto Coffee is not scripted. I'm just talking how I feel, talking what I see. Some of these I have not even looked at before, and so we're kind of going through these together, and that's kind of the whole point of the skit here, is that I'm working with these with you. You see a more natural approach, and I've always liked that, but it seems like the audience doesn't seem so. That's okay. I'm not upset about that. I'm perfectly happy with that. It even saves me some time, perhaps. So, but just let me know what you think about that, because in addition to that, this goes to my second thing, is that I have Knowhere, which is my Discord group. It's called Knowhere HQ. It's basically a Discord community, and we have lots of updates there. Well, one of them is a chart update. So we do call it's called Knowhere Market Updates, and they used to be on Mondays. Actually, they used to be on Sunday nights. Then they shifted to Mondays. But then I also do market mini updates on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in there as well. So I was doing 2 videos on Mondays that are pretty much the same thing. So the Knowhere community and even my Twitter community has decided to put those on Wednesdays as well. So now I need to move my Casual Crypto and Coffee to a different day anyway. So I'm happy to hear what you might think. Should this be on Thursday? Should this be a different day? Should this go away altogether? Should it transform into something else? I'm open for anything. I've thought about, maybe morphing this into like kind of still do a YouTube video, but have more of a podcast live stream style and maybe cover some news as well. So that way everybody's kind of up to date on everything. I'm completely open to that. One thing that I have that I personally feel is, so I've got observations videos, which are market update videos. I have a Knowhere market update video as well. I've got 3 mini market updates for Knowhere Premium, which I'll talk about that in a second. And then I also do a lot of, 2-minute chart updates throughout the week. So I do maybe about 5 of those, maybe about 1 per day on average on Twitter. I have 3 mini updates in Knowhere. I have a larger update in Knowhere, and I have 1 larger update here on YouTube. So I've got, 1, 2, 5, plus another 5. So I got 10 different videos all doing chart updates, and some of them are only 2 minutes. Some of them are 20 minutes. So I get that. And then I also do chart requests as well. And so if you're not familiar with that, I'll talk about Knowhere in a second about my chart request. But I do a lot of chart updates. So if that's your main request, I would like to know if that's something I'm doing maybe too much of or just enough, because I don't want to do just chart updates necessarily. I think that they are helpful, but I almost wonder if maybe you guys want some education or something. I'm all ears. So anyway, I'm rambling, but I'm gonna try to figure out a way to incorporate this maybe on a Thursday, perhaps. I think next week. I tend to postpone these till Thursday anyway because we have the FOMC meetings, things like that. Today is Thursday. So maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll work something out. I might transform these. Let me know what you think. I'm open to suggestions, and I'm happy to cater to those. So those are the first preliminary things. Don't mean to ramble on that. I got one more thing to talk about with Knowhere, and then we'll go on to the charts. All right, so one more thing before we start, and that's something called Knowhere Premium. I have a Discord called Knowhere HQ. You may be in that. If you are, I appreciate you. I have something else called Knowhere Premium that's going to be an extension of that. Knowhere is free. It's free to join. It's free to just participate. It's free to speculate. It's free to do whatever. You can join. You don't have to say nothing. You can say whatever. I'm there for discussions. I'm there for chart requests. That's one of the main things I do in there is offer chart requests once per week. And so you can that's just a way to silo all these requests, right? So I get tons of requests everywhere. I just ask that you throw them in there. That's all I do, and I can answer them every week. Sometimes I answer the same person with the same coin every week, and I'm completely fine with that. I really am. So that's that. I also have charts that I bring up pretty much daily. I average about 2 or 3 per day, and so I think that's about above average from what I've heard. In addition to that, I have something called Knowhere Premium. It is a paid service. The price amount is to be determined, but it's probably going to be somewhere around $25 a month. And it's going to cover more premium charts, more premium discussions, more videos. You're going to get about 3 videos a week that are custom tailored to you. You're also going to get one of the prime features of this is going to be a portfolio trade. So I'm going to discuss portfolio management, risk management, and I'm doing that with an actual account on an exchange. I started with $30,000. I'm about $33,000 currently, and so that is going to be part of that as well, where you get to see active trades in real time. You get to see how I manage these trades, and you get to see the whole thing. And so win or lose, it's all my money, right? So it's for a small, I really feel like $25 is very fair price. It might be $30 depending on how we interpret the features. I'm also doing coin reviews where I'll cover 1 coin per week, and I'll give a rating system and give it a certain number of points to look at that as well. So all that being said, I'm gonna have a form in the description in this YouTube description, and so let me know what you think. If you're interested, you can sign up. I have a wait list for now, and we are expected to start in about 2 to 4 weeks. So I'd love to have you, and you're free to join or to not join, or to join first and then leave. It's okay, whatever you want to do. is completely fine. It doesn't cover my bots. My bots are a completely separate service. Does not include my Apex Academy. That's also a different service. I'll talk more about those next week. So anyway, that's Knowhere Premium. Now we can finally get into the charts. All right, so first things first, we're going to talk about Bitcoin. We're also going to talk about the Bitcoin dominance chart in just a second. And we're going to go to the daily first, because this is something that we have to think about contextually. So overall, we had the drop down a few days ago. We have this run up here. RSI is still under the 50. AROON is under a bullish wedge. So when this happens, when the line is diagonal like this and it goes horizontal, that's usually an indication that price is going to start reversing. And so far that is the case. We're going to zoom into the 4 hour to kind of get a context of this right here. I'm going to delete that. And by the way, this is all changed, and I'm so irritated by this, because it's like, I don't even use the brush tool. And like when you do, like you use it and then it makes you use it, and I hate it. Anyway, I'm annoyed by that. So anyway, what I want to look at here is the rectangle tool and kind of go like so. And so this is pretty much your liquidity order block. Your swing low order block is what I call it. And so it matched up pretty well with this retest. So this is what I was looking at here. And so it pumped up and then it got rejected, and that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm going to zoom into the 1 hour to kind of show that. And it shows it's a little cleaner on the 4 hour in my opinion. And so this is one thing I was concerned about, is like, would we get a retest or not? And so far that we did get a bearish retest. So this is nothing, there's nothing outright bullish behind this. And I think this does go into, I'll probably go into a little rant for 3 minutes. This is kind of the problem I have with FOMC, because everybody was skittish about price action. We were complaining, and this is why like crypto Twitter is very irritating to me anymore. I still participated in it, of course. I still think I could make it better. I can do my part to make it better. But overall, CT is a very toxic place, and you need to protect yourself from all this. Like, the perceptions are crazy. You got people that are influencers, and I'm telling you right now, some of these guys and girls, like some of these people are just, they're nobodies technically in real life. Like, yeah, they got money and stuff like that. I'm not insulting them when I say this. Keep that in mind. And I'm not even talking about one person in general, honestly. Just from what I've seen throughout the course of my interactions, and I've talked with a lot of people behind the scenes, is some of these people are just as ordinary as you are. There's nothing outright special that has put them into their place. It was just timing, or circumstance, and a lot of it is skill. I do agree with that. But the thing is like, you probably shouldn't be looking at an anonymous person to get financial advice from. Like, it's, and that includes me, by the way. Like, don't just believe what I say. A good indicator of what you should look at is look at the consistency of people. Like, there's like 5 people in the crypto Twitter world that when I see a chart that they post, I'm like, okay, I believe that. And because I know their system by now, I know their reputation by now. And that's the thing, it takes more than just a year or two, because a year, like if somebody joined at the peak of the bull run, or towards the beginning curve of that bull run, they look like a genius, right? But a lot of people can't survive the 4 years. And some of the people that do don't even have money. They just have the illusion of it, right? They talk a big game. So it's very hard to pinpoint that. And I say all of that to say what's related to the FOMC is that 4 days ago, everybody is just, they're bored out of their minds. They're not even talking about any trades. Nothing's really going on. And then it's like, oh, the FOMC hits, so now we're going to play this. And then so people did play it. And it went up and down just as usual. It was a non-event as usual in the long scheme of things. And then we started to pump a little bit today. Everybody got excited. I'm in 2 long positions myself in the Knowhere Premium trading group. And so, but other people on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, is, they're ready to get this pumping and going. And everybody's excited. And then we, quote unquote, flash crash, nuke, and I'm like, and now everybody's panicking again. And this is why people have problems. This is why people have trading problems. This is why you can't keep your money. This is why you can't do risk management. This is a root of all kinds of problems, because we dropped like 1%. You know, what is it? Here's the daily candle right here. Let's see. And I gotta find this dang price tool. See, the thing that makes me upset is I even have these starred. Show favorites. What does that do? Well, I don't want that like right here. That's kind of dumb. I don't know. I don't really like this. Maybe I could just put it there, but that doesn't help me. So this is really stupid. So anyway, from the highs, we're down. See, I don't like this double thing. This is so stupid. So we're down less than 1% from the highs. From the highs. And if you want to talk about from the open, we're at 0.13. Like, come on. Like, this is nothing. Okay, yes, we did reject, so that's worth keeping in mind. Do I think that we can go lower? Yes, I do think so. I think as long as this AROON breaks, I think that we could break lower to about 2,800. And I've been vocal about that, how we will probably touch here at about 27.8, 27.7, 27.8 roughly. Somewhere in there. So I say all that to say, like, nothing's really happened this week. Like, we had pretty much boring price action. People wanted to gamble during FOMC again, as per usual. The thing is that FOMC doesn't have any direct cause for what crypto is supposed to be anyway. Crypto is supposed to be a peer-to-peer system that takes away central authority to how we transact money. And it's more complicated than that, but that's the gist, right? So what does that got to do with stocks? It doesn't have to do anything. Okay, like when I joined in 2017, nobody cared about stocks. People only cared because of the pandemic. Okay, and now people are still caring. And guess what? This correlation that people have with the stocks, like, I'm shocked. Like, I did a survey before, and 51% of you guys follow the stocks, follow the S&P 500 in order to trade Bitcoin. That is really silly, in my opinion. And that's probably one reason why you lose money. And that's and I'm not here to insult you by that. And maybe this is why I get a low view count on my videos, because I'm more open about these things on my crypto coffee videos. But it's silly because they are not as correlated as you think they are. There's an illusion of correlation, but it's not. It's not true. I mean, are there instances where it is true sometimes? Yes. Is it true most of the time? Not really. I know 2 traders that can trade the S&P 500 and Bitcoin together. And 2 of them are way above my league. Way above my league. These guys can make $200,000 in a month. $500,000 in a month. Like, these guys are retired. They have generational wealth. And so they can, that's one reason they can probably do that as well, is because they only have to, trade 1% to 5% of their net worth to make enough money to live very good for the year. Versus a lot of other people. And that's the other thing. In order, and I'm not even sure I've considered that. Like, it probably is possible to trade off of the stocks with Bitcoin together, but if you don't have that much money, that's going to be very hard to do. A lot of you guys, the thing is, like, a lot of these people will focus on the 30-minute or 5-minute chart and try to trade that, and they over leverage. And that's the thing. The lower amount of money that you have, the lower, I mean, it's almost counterintuitive, right? But let me backtrack. I don't think that you should use leverage trading pretty much at all, unless you just have enough money at your disposal. So, because a lot of people want to use leverage as a way to compensate for their low amount of capital, and I disagree with that. I think the lower amount of capital that you have, the less you should be leverage trading. the more you should be focused on high time frame spot. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but leverage trading should not be to amplify what you currently have. It should be to amplify the exposure of what you could have anyway. So for example, if you have $100,000, you should only put $5,000 in a leverage account, and your max leverage should be 20 to equal that $100,000 that you have. You should not be putting all $100,000 in that leverage portfolio and then upping your leverage also by 100 to say that, oh, you have $1 million of leverage capital. No, that's wrong. That's wrong, wrong, wrong. And if you screw up just once, you will lose half of your money. Okay, then that's the thing. You're playing with fire, and you're going into a burning house with no clothes on, with a gallon of gasoline, and you're telling yourself that you're not going to get in trouble by that. So that's what's going on. A lot of people use leverage incorrectly, and that goes back to the correlation, because a lot of people try to use correlation incorrectly and all these things. Like, you should just focus on one chart. And I mentioned this so many times. I mentioned this in Knowhere. I mentioned this in Apex Academy. I teach this. Like, it's something that I do as well. You guys over leverage, you over expose, you don't have good management for your risk, you don't have good management for your capital. And that's one reason why I have my trading group, by the way, so people can see that and learn over time that this is what I do, you know, and I'm showing that in my group. So it's anyway, I digress from that, but the point is, you know, a lot of people are looking at this Unibot or like Pepe Coin and all these other things, and then this World Coin crap where you put your eyeball on a screen, and it's so stupid. This is so dumb that you wonder why, you know. And I'm not trying to. You wonder why people have issues with managing their money, and that's because they're over leveraged, they're over risking. And yes, the thing is that it sucks initially, right? It sucks to save money. It sucks to have secured credit cards. Like I've had it. All these things suck initially, right? But it's worth it in the end. Otherwise, a lot of you guys are just gambling. So anyway, I digress from that, as I said. But going back to Bitcoin, we're going to focus on the 1 hour here. And so I initially had a chart on this on Twitter that we would break this. We did. Now we're breaking down the lower part here, and everything looks good to me. Nothing. This is a little bit concerning. If we break this, I think we'll go down to the lows at 28.9. Other than that, I think it looks okay. And so another thing is too, I'm not going to get on another rant. I'll try not to. Another thing is too, like, we expect a fierce downtrend, like, immediately, or even an uptrend. And that's why I talked about the over leverage. Is we think that Bitcoin's all of a sudden the whole market's going to go up 50%, or the market's going to go down 50%, and neither one is the case. You'll be shocked how rarely that happens. And I've talked about that in observations videos on the 1 week chart, how we get one impulse. Here's one here. We've had one impulse here. Let's go ahead and count this one to 2, 3, 4. So 4 weeks out of the year, we're almost in August. So only 1 month of the 7 months have had large impulses. The other ones have actually been chops and actually negative price action, like reds. So despite the fact that, you know, we're up pretty significantly. Gosh, I hate this rearrange. It's so stupid. There was no point for this. It's all changed. Like, the top two are the same, but then they also changed the way it's. This is so aggravating. So there was no reason for that. So anyway, even if you count the current price action, we're at 80% that you could have got in. So we're up pretty good. 80% is pretty good for the year. But overall, like, the price action has been pretty crappy, to be honest. But that's where you gotta look at the high time frame. That's why I emphasize high time frame trades are better trades. You get better responses out of that. You get a better concept of the trends. You are not susceptible to high risk trading. You don't have to care about whether you got liquidated or not, because you're not going to get liquidated. The thing is like, that's another thing. If I buy here, and yeah, if we go down here, I will lose 50%, right? So let's say I buy, $100,000 at 15 grand. Yeah, I'll go down to 50 grand, maybe 55 grand. But it's not zero. Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, people are so afraid to lose a little bit of money that they lose more than what they should, because they're just afraid. So anyway, I digress from that again. But overall, this looks okay on the daily. I think we can get to that 27.8. I think probably more likely here at this range at 2,800 even. So I'm looking about 2,800s. I'm not expecting a big down move on this. Not really. I mean, we could see something like this happen again, but we'll see how that plays out. Overall, I think it's mindful to keep high time frame perspectives when looking at this. Another thing that we can consider is, a touch of this red line here, and so that kind of matches up around this range. So we'll see how that goes. I think it could play out. I think it could take longer than you might think. So I'm going to briefly go to the dominance chart as well, and this is something that I also looked at, and it's kind of matching up pretty well. I like this trend line here. I have a theory that we're going to go up to this higher trend line, and this is the legacy trend line. This is the logarithmic version of that. I'll just get rid of that. But this is the legacy trend line from 2017. We have not broken this trend line ever in history. Ever in history. So I think that's significant, because if we do go up above here and then we break down, I think it could be an alt season, and that could take up to here. That could take to the end of August. I mentioned a late August to early September alt run in Knowhere in my Discord. So that's something I'm looking at to keep in mind with. We do have a little bit of a divergence forming. It's not conclusive enough just yet. I'm not playing divergences off dominance charts anyway, but I think this could bounce going into the next week. And so we'll see. That could mean an extra big so the thing is dominance, the Bitcoin dominance chart can go up, but just because it goes up doesn't mean that the price goes up. In fact, a lot of times it's the opposite. So I'm almost wondering if we get a red week next week, whereas Bitcoin goes down a little bit and everything else goes down a lot. So we'll see how that plays out. A little bit of a theory, but I've spent enough time on Bitcoin ranting about that. Let's go ahead and go. I'm going to briefly cover Ethereum, and then we'll go to Solana, XRP, Dogecoin, maybe some alts. All right, so really briefly into Ethereum. Basically, the main thing is I'm looking for a break of 2,000 or this trend line. I've mentioned it so many times. You can look at all my other videos, really for the past 2 weeks. Pretty much all I'm going to say about that. On the 4 hour, we were covering this. We actually kind of rejected. It looked like we were going to go above it. I guess at the time that I analyzed this, it was already above, but it did not close above. And I guess it kind of technically did, and then it broke down below. So anyway, there's one reason I'm not trading it. It's just it's a little too complex, and it's not worth it. Focus your trades on the higher conviction trades. That's why I say, like, you could trade this, but I'm personally not, because it's not going to be worth my time. It's not worth my stress. Every year I get older, as you probably do as well, and I'm focused much more on making easier trades that I don't have to stress about, ones that I can click, buy, sell, or whatever, and I can walk away from the screen confidently for at least 4 hours minimum, if not 12 hours to 24 hours, and be okay with it doing whatever it's going to do. And I think that you should be able to as well. If you can't, it's a sign that you are probably too uncomfortable on the way that you trade, or the amount of capital that maybe you have. Maybe you need the money, and that's okay. That's okay. I was in that position before. So you have to understand what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and how to play that out. Again, if you don't have a lot of money, I more suggest taking off leverage, focusing only on spot trading, widen your stops, apply really good risk management, focus only on risk management to start with. You have all those things at play, right? So that's something to keep in mind. It's something that's worth focusing on. And so that's that's kind of how you do that. So anyway, I say all that because Ethereum isn't worth my time right now, and so I don't feel comfortable trading this, so I'm not. So I know I'm probably going to go briefly into Binance because it's pretty much the same thing. Focusing on the daily, I've talked about this. I don't like the way the price action is set up, and the SEC news is really kind of really taking the steam out of all this. So I don't really care for it too much. There's nothing really to trade. You got this trend line. It's struggling to stay above it. The best way to view this would be like so. Get rid of this. Play the break of that range. That's basically it. And so I'm not interested in this middle play. Like, there's just sometimes it's worth not even trading and protecting your capital. And there's other good coins out there, which we'll talk about in a second, that have, much more. It should have better focus for you. So anyway, that's Ethereum and Binance. I'm going to cover Solana and Dogecoin together, and then we'll go to a couple more alts and then end the video. All right, so on to Solana. We're on the Binance chart here. This is something that I've discussed before, is that we had pretty much this whole setup right here. We had the pump above. This was a really, really, really good long opportunity. Solana fumbled this, so we got the deviation, and we had a little bit of pump up. Now we're kind of hovering at the retest point. So this is a consideration. We did bounce at the RSI 50. We have a bearish cross that needs to confirm into a bullish consolidation. That will do so at the end of tomorrow's candle. And so we have to conclude, is this going to go back up? Is this going to retest down? And this is a very interesting play, because if this deviates again to the upside, that's a sign that Solana actually was strong, and this was basically a stop hunt, which seems to be the case. A lot of wicks are kind of significant to kind of tell you that, but we don't know for sure. We need this to go up above here, and so if you're playing it as is, then I would wait for a close above here, preferably even a close above here to like 27.60, 28, and maybe do a long like so. And you can place your profit wherever you want. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking for that one. Other than that, you could also have you could short now if you wanted to. This wouldn't be a bad idea, but the problem is, excuse me, the problem is your downside is really limited. Even if you do this, you're going to get a 2.7, which is good. But right now, I look at things like the weekly chart right here. Like, where are you going to short to? See, the thing is, like, this already looks depleted. I would more focus on the fact that we just reclaimed the 50 on the weekly and focus on that as a long opportunity. And so that's the thing. I would be more looking at, and maybe I'll do a high time frame video later today, but I would be focusing on the weekly charts and see where you could get in on, longing something. So anyway, that's kind of just what I see with Solana. Let's go ahead and go to Dogecoin, because I paired these together because they look very similar. And so with this one, we just broke up over the 50, or not the 50. We did actually. We broke above the 50, and we broke this weekly thing here. So I really do think that we could go up pretty significantly in the next 6 months, if not the next 2 to 3 months. We just crossed bullish here, but we need to look at a possibility of a bearish consolidation. That needs 2 candles to confirm, so that would be not this weekend close, but the next weekend close. So we have 10 days for that. But the sky's the limit on this. So I'm not going to fade this. I don't think this is a good fading opportunity for me. So I think, yeah, it's even breaking here, and if this holds on the weekly, I think we're going to see some fireworks for Dogecoin in the next 6 months. It might take a little while, but I would be positioning myself. Gosh, I hate this new setup. And so if we go above here, and then we go to the local, that's not even local, or the total all-time high, I should say. Look, you're looking at a little over 6x, so that's good. That's not bad for a coin that's obviously in your face. It's a top 10 non-stable coin, right? Like, yeah, we're looking at Unibot and all this crap, and that's why I don't trade those things. Like, yeah, Unibot's fine. People have gained 4x on that. But how would you know? You'd have to be in the zone. You have to be paying attention all the time. Where I can just buy, you know, 20,000 worth of Dogecoin, and be up an extra 120,000 by the end of the year potentially. And I'm not saying that's the case, but this is a much easier play for me. I think so. So anyway, I feel like that's a much easier 6K or 6X to achieve versus the other ones. So anyway, that's Dogecoin and Solana. Let's go ahead and go to a few alts. I'm going to cover maybe DeFi coins today. I kind of feel in a DeFi mood, and then we'll end the video. All right, so let's go to AAVE. I'm going to clean up this chart here and look at a few things. So overall on the daily, get rid of this too. We're kind of hovering above this trend line. I think we were trying to consolidate and break above here. That was my thesis on that. You can see that better on the weekly. You have your legacy support. I really like this a lot. This is another coin I think that will really do numbers once we get going. I really like this. Your big break here would probably be at $108, $109, probably even round it up to 110. This looks good. I don't really care for the rejection so far, but it's no big deal. If you go ahead on the 4 hour, we had the drop down, we had the reclaim, and now we probably will get a retest here. And so that's something that I would look at doing. So if you get this retest, you have maybe right here, get this double support. So you could probably go like so, target the highs, and I think that's pretty good. Overall, I have a reason to believe that this will be much more stronger of an asset than a lot of other coins. So I like that one a lot. Let's go ahead and go to Chainlink. It's doing okay today. Another weekly consideration. This is looking very strong. I wish that I had a chance to buy it here, and I did not. I wish that I did, but nothing. Nothing to be concerned about. 30% is pretty good though. So what I'm looking at is still a break of 870 or 872, I should say. And so to me, that's worthy of a long-term hold. Honestly, up to the all-time highs. And I feel like it should be higher than. Is it higher than that? I feel like it should be, but this is the Binance, so maybe not. So anyway, overall, I like this. I would wait for that to hold or break above it and then hold. And so overall, looks pretty solid. We're kind of getting a little bit extended here, so we could see a rejection of that range. So we will see. Another one, I think I will cover. We'll cover DOT. I had that on my mind. I might as well just cover it. So weekly setup doesn't look as good as other ones like Link and AAVE and Comp. We'll cover Comp here in a second. But the daily here's what I'm looking at. I think we could see a drop down to this trend line around 455, and that could be a good long opportunity all the way to $6 range and higher. Other than that, nothing much else to say, but I do like the setup that we're getting on this, and so I probably should be here. But that looks much cleaner, and so we'll see how that goes. This is maybe that was on a different time frame, so looks not bad. I think you got this kind of set up here. It looks very similar to this, so we could even go up. If we go up first, that's probably a bad sign. You'd want to wait for the break. If it goes down, then that's probably where I would long, because you're looking at a triple bottom. Or if it goes down below that, then that sucks, but then I'd be looking for a spring, and a spring would be a very good sign to long. So that's another one. I think the last one I'll cover is Comp. I like Comp a lot. I discussed this in Knowhere that we would probably get a retest somewhere. We got one here. I'm waiting for another one. We'll see how that goes so far. It's kind of inconclusive. We got the RSI bounce, which is what we want. We got the bullish AROON consolidation, which is also what we want. This weekly looks fantastic right here. This wick especially. If we can get below here, again, that's a perfect retest to go up. And so we'll see how that goes. Overall, I like this setup. A really good long-term play. Pretty much worthy of that. And this right here, you had this consolidation markdown, and then we had the impulse. we had this impulse up. That's exactly what we had at Solana. We have the deviation, which is also what we have to Solana as well. And then now we have a pump up, but we don't have that with Solana just yet. So if we get a pump back through the range like Solana does, or like Comp will, then Solana will go on a run potentially. So that's worth keeping in mind. Overall, very good comparison between the two. Honestly, like despite like everything being said, the market still looks pretty good in my opinion. It doesn't look as good as I would like it to have, but it's definitely more bullish than CT will let you think. And and I'm born and bred from CT, of course, but I think people need to realize that the crypto Twitter world is becoming more of a niche world every day, and so you don't need to think the way that the average person in CT thinks. You need to think outside the box. You especially need to think for yourself, because guess what? It's your money. Don't tell other people. Don't let other people do. You know, don't let other people manage your money for you, right? Especially some person that you've never met. They use an anonymous picture. And I'm pretty active in the space, and most people don't know what I look like. So anyway, just keep all that in mind. Manage your own trades. I hope you do well. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry it was a little long, perhaps. But anyway, I hope you have a good rest of the day. I'll see you next time.